We all have our dream cars, but dreams cost money. If you're like most people, you need a car to get you around and you can't afford to pay for dreams. The good news is you don't actually have to spend a fortune to get a reliable car, but you do have to choose your vehicle carefully. It's worth keeping in mind that the most reliable cars are almost all Japanese. European cars are often very unreliable and very expensive to fix. Of all the Japanese models, Toyota and Mazda are the most reliable as they grow old. They can also be quite boring, but if you want a reliable car, then you may have to compromise. All second-hand cars need to be checked out by a mechanic before you buy them. However, before you take a car to your mechanic, you can save yourself a lot of money and a lot of grief by checking it out for yourself first. Most people look for cars online, but don't overlook cars parked at the side of the road. Before you buy a car, you need to make sure that the person selling it is the real owner. Ask to check the registration documents. Check that the seller's name matches the name on the ownership papers. Ask to see his driver's license to prove his identity. Make sure that the car has current registration and safety certificate. Blown head gaskets are a major problem on modern cars and they're expensive to fix. Therefore, before you go any further, you need to check the oil for signs of a blown head gasket. First, check the oil. After wiping the dipstick, put the dipstick back in the engine. The oil level should be between the full and empty marks, and you should be able to see the dipstick through the oil. On this car, the oil is in reasonable condition, so it's time to check the oil filler cap. It may look black and messy, but this is how it's meant to look. This engine seems to be in reasonable condition. In many cars, the oil filler cap and the oil dipstick are separate. On this European car, they're together. If the oil on the dipstick or underneath the oil filler cap looks like mayonnaise, then this car probably has a blown head gasket. Don't buy this car. To check to see if it's leaking oil, run your hand underneath the engine. A good engine shouldn't leak. With the handbrake on and the engine in park or neutral, start the engine. Get someone to give the car a single hard rev. If there are clouds of smoke coming out, then the engine probably has serious problems. This engine seems okay. Then you should block the exhaust pipe with a rag and check for hissing sounds from underneath the car. Hissing sounds from under the vehicle probably mean a leaking exhaust system, which may be expensive to fix. It's okay to get a little bit of hissing from around the rag you're holding. Now you need to check the tyres. Fitting a match head into the tread in the tyre helps check the depth of the tread. Tyres should have about a match head's depth in the tread. The tyres should have an even amount of tread from side to side. If the tyres are worn more on one side than the other, point this out to your mechanic. Don't forget to check the spare. And while you're at it, check underneath the spare for rust holes. Check outside for dents, rust and damaged paint. Look down the sides and roof of the car. Check the doors, including underneath, for holes, bubbles or bumps coming through the paint that may indicate rust. Jiggle the door up and down. If there's lots of upward and downwards movement, point this out to your mechanic. Also check the sills, the long panels underneath the side doors, because any rust there will almost certainly cause you to fail your next safety check. This bumper scrape looks bad, but there's no real damage and this scrape is easily repainted. Write down any faults you find and report them to your mechanic. Check the inside of the car for wear and tear. Look underneath the mats and while you're down there, sniff for musty carpet smells which might indicate a water leak. Avoid cars that leak and smell musty. Check the stereo and the air conditioning and make sure they're working. The air conditioning should be icy cold, not just cool. Make sure the brakes work quickly and smoothly. On the test drive, make sure that the car doesn't behave strangely. Listen for strange noises as you drive and report them to your mechanic. Now it's time to take your car to the mechanic. The mechanic says the car's okay. Call your local automobile association to find out if there's money owing on the vehicle. And don't forget to get a receipt for your payment and make sure that the ownership is immediately transferred into your name. You don't actually have to spend a fortune to get a reliable car.